Welcome to Horry County Community Digest here on Horry County Community Digest.info. I'm your host in Horry County and Herb Malzman. We're about to spend 30 minutes at Children's Museum of South Carolina in Myrtle Beach. The piece was done a while ago. It was produced a while ago, and when it was produced, Alice's Wonderland was being exhibited at the museum. Always a fun place to be. Alice's Wonderland is no longer there, but there's a great new exhibit there now called Everybody Eats, so another fun exhibit. Check it out. While you're listening to, you might want to check out the link, Children's Museum of South Carolina, here at Horry County Community Digest.info. So let's head on now to Pam Ross and Children's Museum of South Carolina and Alice's Wonderland. Here we go. Follow me. For me, this is my second visit here. I was in the museum here about a year and a half ago at Christmas time. Had to do a tour of the museum, but now we're doing it for you folks here on WRNN 1450 AM. Our guest and guide today is Pam Ross, and Pam is the executive director of the Children's Museum of South Carolina. It's a little quieter here than the last time. Last time was a little Christmas time. You had like 100 kids here, or 98 anyway. Hi, Pam. And how come so quiet? I know I was quiet, but a little odd.
Well, you're earlier. This is quite early. Actually, our doors haven't even unlocked yet, so this is why we're really quiet right now.
Right. And what do you expect? Now, our tape date today is Thursday, March 11th, 2010. Because what is expected today? Do you have any what's going to be happening today here?
Well, what generally takes place is oftentimes we have field trips that come to the museum. Right now we have a lot of Canadian visitors that are in the area for Can-Am Days.
Hey.
So those families will come to the museum as well. And then we have our regular membership members that are able to come. And a lot of times during the day, if we don't have field trips, it's smaller children because the older children, as you know, are in school this time of day.
Okay, so a lot of the children coming through will be Canadian. Is there any sort of a culture shock for them here? I mean, the things happening in Canadian museums that wouldn't be hearing here, the sun, the surf, the sand, the surf, and all that, or they just is for some of this, is this a new experience, or you think it's commonplace for them?
Canada has children's museums. There's over 350 in the United States and worldwide, and so the one thing that children's museums offer, regardless of how big they are or where they're located, is that they provide an opportunity for families to interact and learn and have fun together.
But they could be learning something about, let's say, shells and snakes and things that aren't indigenous to them. They would learn it, so they may be picking up some new experiences here.
Oftentimes that is true. So regardless of which children's museum you go to, you do get a different experience.
But the basics are the same. Okay, so we're at just give us a tour, and then we're going to talk about Alice's Wonderland, or Alice in Wonderland.
Alice's Wonderland is the traveling exhibit that we have right now.
But that's a very hot subject right now,
yeah,
so we'll get into that as we go. Okay, you're the guide, so go for it, Pam.
Okay, as we enter the museum, we have a sand area with interactive play that is situated in a boat, so children can have access to the boat. And everybody loves the sand, and a lot of times they like the sand not in conjunction with the beach because they don't want to deal with the water. And unlike the beach, they don't sit in this sand, so we don't have to worry about diapers and sand and clothing as well.
Oh, so you read my mind. I was going to say, do the kids get to sit there?
No, actually they don't. We have stools around the boat on the other side so that they can have access to all the interactive manipulatives that are in the boat, but they don't actually sit in the sand.
And it's a fairly small boat. It's not a large size.
Yeah.
It's probably, the sand area is probably, something like that. Okay, so we're moving along now. Can you find squirrel, frog, bear, and fish? Oh, they're going to be someplace with it. Oh, I see in the mural here.
We have flip boxes in the mural. This wall was actually, we designed it, and one of the art classes at the Academy for Art, Science, and Technology built the wall for us, a group of students. It's a class project. And the wall actually has lift boxes so that you can find the squirrel in the tree, you may find a frog on the lily pad, you may find a fish in the water. And also what you find on this wall is you find tactile experiences, like there are real pine cones that are stuck to the tree on the wall. There's turf put on the wall to make it feel like the grass. There's different types of carpets.
Right.
So what this wall provides the visitor is a visual experience as well as a tactile experience, in that they touch and feel different textures and things as they...
Right. I was also the bear you won't find in the... Well, you can find the bear anywhere here, except up the...
But we don't have one on the wall.
You don't have one on the wall.
We have a deer, though.
Yeah, so there's no bear here, but you can find a frog on the same, a fish you won't find up in the tree. So I'm going to say the fish is behind the box there.
Probably so. That's usually what families do, is a parent engages the child into guessing what they would find in this particular area.
But there's no bear.
The bear is not visible on the wall. You have to look really hard to find the bear, but it also includes over on this wall
Is
as
it
well.
in the cave?
You'll have to experiment. You'll have to
Okay,
find.
there you go. And
No need for me to take the fun out of it for you.
And there's a dragonfly up there kind of stuck there, and caterpillars. Okay, so Collins Kids, and I think Collins was a young boy who died too early, way too early. Was that?
Our Discovery Classroom is sponsored by Collins Kids Discovery Lab Classroom through the David Bennett Foundation at CCU. And to answer your question, yes, in a tragic accident.
And what was his name?
His name was Colin Raven.
Colin
Raven.
So that's what happened. Okay, the David Bennett Foundation, Collins Kids Discovery Lab Classroom. Okay, we're moving with you.
Okay, in this area you'll see It's Electric, and It's Electric is sponsored by our good friends at Santee Cooper, and what we have is a World War II generator, and the kids can open and close the circuits that actually control the power to this city, which is a small replica of Myrtle Beach. And when they pedal, if they pedal fast enough and generate enough electricity or enough power, then the little city lights up.
But you don't have the museum here in this.
No, not in that scape. We don't.
Is that a diorama?
Well, it's not. It is a great miniature replica of the beach, maybe in times past. Although they have done a really good job of incorporating some new.
You got to get them to do the museum in there.
Well, we may end up having to do that.
I think we had this discussion the last time I was here. Okay, there you go.
We have a circuit table here where kids can build circuits. We have most adults remember playing with a light bright, and what we have here is a large light bright that's like 3 foot by 4 foot, and it has large glass tubes, colored tubes that you can put in it, so everybody, young and old, always enjoys a light bright machine.
And it looks like LEX is...
Alex. Somebody named Alex was in here yesterday afternoon and probably put their name up there right before we closed.
Alex has a key to the place. So and this is the magic bus right here?
This is part of our Magic School Bus exhibit. In between the seats on the Magic School Bus are interactive manipulatives for kids to experience. And then inside the Magic School Bus, they can take a journey, as is projected on the front, through with Miss Frizzle.
And this also, when you have the groups in here, where they're going to go next and all that, is there...
We have different things that go there. Sometimes, I think we're doing, Miss Frizzle goes to outer space this time, so she's taking them to outer space. We have Miss Frizzle takes them through the human body. We have different types of things that we put up there, depending on what's going on in the museum.
Who's Miss Frizzle here?
Miss Frizzle is part of the character in a book series by Scholastic Books.
No more Miley Cyrus or Hannah Montana. No. She's moved along.
Wow. Now, Miss Frizzle's been around a while, though. Miss Frizzle has been around. She's very well known, and she's been around a while, and she leads kids on imaginary journeys through different places and tries to give them a different perspective of what they're looking at.
There was no Miss Frizzle when I was a child.
No, nor was there when I was.
I had to find my own imaginary little trips. Okay.
We have our Animal Acts area, where they can go in and they can put on animal masks and animal tails and act like they're that particular animal in the museum, in the forest, on this scape here. We have a mirror maze where you can look in the mirrors and try to write your name backwards, or maneuver a pencil through a maze looking into a mirror without looking at the paper, which is more difficult than it sounds.
What's with this deer's tail? What happened to this deer's tail here?
Well, nothing happened. What we did was we actually, from a taxidermist, obtained a piece of hide off the tail of a white-tailed deer, and that when kids touch it, they actually get to feel what that feels like. Go ahead.
So this is.
Enjoy.
Oh, look at this.
We're for the young and the young at heart.
Yeah. Okay, so that's actually. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought somebody grabbed his tail and ran.
No.
Alex, maybe.
No. This is the Collins Kids Discovery Lab classroom. This is where we have birthday parties. We have guest speakers that do things. We also have a lot of animals in this area.
This guy.
Yeah, currently we have some finches. We have a Chilean squirrel that is called a dagu. And we have a guinea pig. We have 2 chinchillas. And we have some turtles and geckos and different things that we have in here. 2
chinchillas. A few more of those. You can make a little something around.
No. Our chinchillas are for kids to interact with. And we do take the guinea pig out and the chinchillas out for the children to touch them.
I was looking at a thing yesterday in the USA Today, and I guess the publication date for that issue was yesterday, March the 10th. And they're using finches like in dog fighting, like rooster fighting. They're actually pitting finches against each other in blood battles and blood to the death.
Well, they're so small. That's just not. That's not something we would ever condone.
Is that the end of the world, do you think, or what? Is that a sign? Did Nostradamus say that as soon as they start pitting finches against each other, that's really, it's kind of a little scary.
Yeah. Well, our finches are not here for that purpose. Our finches are here. A lot of times, maybe one has lost a wing and can't be rehabilitated.
Bring me the winner. I always think about the lobster when you walk into the restaurant and it comes out with one claw.
Yeah.
And the guy says, what happened? Well, it got into a fight. So the customer says, well, bring me the winner.
Well,
Finch lost the wing.
We do an animal recovery program with Ark Animal Hospital. And so sometimes we get animals that something's happened to the mother. And we work with the help raise the young until they're old enough to release into the wild. Or sometimes we'll get like a finch that's got a wing that's been destroyed in fighting or, whatever naturally happens. And so we end up keeping that bird and trying to at least make its life comfortable. We always put a note on there to the kids so that they'll know what happened to it originally, that type of thing, and why it's here. So that's usually what happens with our animals.
Well, I spent, let's cut there for a moment. We're back. I spent a couple of weeks in the Amazon in Peru a couple of years ago in the primary jungle in March of '99, and there was a capybara there who's one of the mascots in the village there, and its mother had been killed by natives for food. So the capybara was an orphan. So you'd come out in the morning, everybody would come out in the morning, and there was a routine. You'd stick your finger in its mouth. You could feel it like a second set of teeth in there, and it would suckle on your
really?
On your fingers, the strangest feeling.
Well, that was part of what they did to help that animal survive after the death of its mother. So.
And there was a gray-winged trumpeter, so when you came out, you'd scratch it on the head and get all
really?
to the mascot. Okay, we're moving along, and I know we're going to get, here it is, Alice's Wonderland.
Yeah.
A most curious adventure. So we're here?
We are starting to go into Alice's Wonderland, a most curious adventure.
All right.
This is a traveling exhibit that came to us from the Children's Discovery Museum in San Jose, California. This is the first time Alice's Wonderland has made an appearance in the state of South Carolina, so we're very excited about that. And unlike the movie, this traveling exhibit is geared for small children.
Unlike the movie, Johnny Depp does it again. Gee whiz. I think it wiped that Avatar as far as the opening week.
I think that it did.
Alice in Wonderland, it's supposed to tell the inside story of Alice in Wonderland. Is there an inside story?
I don't know if there's an inside story, but it's not certainly the story that I grew up with Alice in Wonderland. This exhibit, however, is more like that.
Well, Johnny likes getting dressed up. He does dress up lately, the guy, Sweeney Todd and all that. He's getting into that. So, okay, so some of the support provided by MetLife Foundation, Skull Foundation Fund Integrated Archive Systems, Brian and Deborah Stoll Family Fund, National Science Foundation, and what's that one down there? Support provided by University of California, Santa Cruz. So yeah, we want to give some. We want to give a little promo there.
Those are the sponsors for the traveling exhibit. And this traveling exhibit was fabricated for the Children's Discovery Center in San Jose, but it travels in 3-month venues around the country, and museums pay to have it come to their museum.
Well, let me get this out of the way right away. That knew its way from San Jose. I'm sorry. Do you know the way to San Jose? Based on the book Alice's the actual name of the book is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Okay, so we're here now
We're in the Mad Hatter Tea Party. The Mad Hatter Tea Party is set up so that what you'll see is, as we go into the exhibit, you'll see excerpts from the book. This one says, "You should say what you mean, the march here went on." And I do, Alice hastily replied. At least, I mean what I say. That's the same thing you know. Not the same thing a bit, said the Hatter. And this Mad Hatter's Tea Party is set around Alice having a conversation with the Mad Hatter and the Dormouse. And there's places for children to sit around the table. And around the table, there are some interactive components to the exhibit. One is these boxes they're actually called smell boxes, but they have different flavors of tea in them. And so when you manipulate them so that air passes through it, you can smell the different types of teas that you might have at an actual real tea party. And then on this part of the table, there is an interactive exhibit with water, oil, and syrup. And by manipulating the pumps at the table, you can create air bubbles that move at different speeds depending on if they're moving through the syrup, the oil, or the water, and you can predict which one you think will move faster.
Wow! And what's that big globe here with the water in there?
This simulates the water in the teapot itself, so that when you look at it, as we look here, it talks about lenses and how water bends objects when you look through, and they look different. So you look at refraction of rays as they move through water. And then this one has a heating element in it that actually, when you press the button inside the teapot, the convection currents that are moving through the water appear, and you can see the water boiling in the teapot. Yeah. And in this part of the tea party, this goes into your milk, goes into your coffee cup. When you press the button, you can see how the milk drops down into your teacup. Wow. Through a stroboscope that's in there.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
And this, cool. I'll read this. Alice finds a Mad Hatter, a drowsy dormouse. Dormouse? Is it D-O-O-R? I say.
Dormouse. A raven March hare sitting down to tea at a very odd party. Time is in turmoil. Logic is lost and table manners have been forgotten. I wonder what fun a party could be when questions are answered with riddles.
Is it dormouse or dormouse?
It's dormouse.
How's it spelled?
D-O-R-M-O-U-S-E.
I thought it was all the time. I thought it was D-O-O-R. Okay, without giving the number on the Mad Hatter's hat, without giving the number now, we'll keep this for the end. Would that be the size? Without giving it, if that's the size, would that be the size of the hat?
No.
Because in this style, and there's a size?
In this style, 10-6.
Oh, so you said it. Oh, so that's I was going to have a little trivia. How big was? Is that the style of the hat? The size of the hat? Okay, folks, wipe that out. Okay, jurors, you're requested to forget about that. So the trivia question is, if that's the hat size, what is the Mad Hatter's hat size? Okay, we'll get to that. Make believe me to talk about it.
All right, and this is part of, the book is based on lots of riddles and lots of sentence structures that are different from what we might normally speak, and it incorporates a lot of animals because Alice is out in the woods, and so this is kind of like a spin word type component to the exhibit where they can spin the different sections, and they can choose the words that they want to use to create the riddles or the sounds.
Well, we're going to do this is something we're about to do. So, look at this whole deal is wow.
And here is an area where they can make their own Mad Hatter hat.
In their own size.
And we're home, yeah. And this is a zoestrode, so that when you get down here, and you look through the slits and you spin it, you can see all the animals moving in Alice's Wonderland.
I get a little dizzy, and this is
a giant prism, so that when you move the prism, what you see on the sides of the prism is Alice
skipping and
running
and all that. So it's, wow, Alice is.
And as we know, Alice follows Rabbit to a hole and then falls down into the hole.
This is going to be quite an experience for the children.
Here is the hole that Alice enters. This is the rabbit hole.
Do you go in there? Can the kids
Kids can go through the rabbit hole. They come around the other side. We'll walk to the other side.
Let's give it, before we move along, that as we go along, your address here is?
2501 North Kings Highway. Our website is www.CMSCkids.org.
And the phone number here?
843-946-9469.
And you're right where Myrtle Shopping Mall used to be?
We are across the street from the Myrtle Beach Convention Center and Sheraton Hotel in the same building with Office Depot.
And if you go to Office Depot, you're right here. This is great stuff.
And so when you come out of the rabbit hole, there's a component to the exhibit that has a globe that is illuminated. It has 2 cameras on each side, and there are 2 screens here. And what you do is you can use these glass knobs to turn the globe and to move the camera. So, the question was, Alice, if you went and entered the rabbit hole, where would you come out? So if you locate the camera that you're looking at, let's say it's on Saudi Arabia, the top screen shows where your camera is, and then on the other side shows you exactly where you would come out if the rabbit dug a hole straight through the earth.
Wow.
So the old phrase, I'm digging a hole to China, if you really want to know where you'd come out, you could come here and put the camera on China, and it would show you where you would come out on the other side.
And I have a feeling this child is significant here. This like a photograph an old time. Would this be Lewis Carroll's Alice?
Yes.
We're looking at Alice right here. This was the inspiration for Alice. Is this Lewis Carroll's daughter or niece or?
A family member.
A family member, and wow, this is so. I've got goosebumps. This is Alice right here. This is just. And
here, in the book, the Red Queen orders Alice to play a game of croquet, and the hedgehogs and the mallets or the flamingos, and but the only problem is Alice says there's no rules to the game. So what we have in this area are the 3 games that the Red Queen instructed and ordered Alice to play. So they can manipulate these and play the games that Alice played in the book.
All right, and just before we go on, I'm assuming that that's Alice in that portrait there. I'm assuming that was Alice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To my knowledge, it was.
All right. Okay, you're listening to Horry County Community Digest, no longer calendar. We're at Children's Museum, South Carolina, 2501
North Kings
Highway, and we're in the
Alice's Wonderland traveling exhibit.
Alice's Wonderland traveling exhibit.
And here, in the book, Alice is trapped into the hollow doors. And, when she digs through the rabbit hole, the book says she finds a cookie, where Rabbit sends her in to get his gloves. And instead of finding the gloves, she finds a box of cookies, and the cookies say, take one. So Alice takes one, and she eats the cookie, and when she does, she grows really big. And then she'll drink something, and she'll get really small. And in the process of doing this, she gets trapped into this hollow doors. And so when you look through this part of the exhibit, the room that we see looks perfectly normal. But then when you walk around the other side...
Sometimes I get the impression Lewis Carroll would alter his state from time to time, because you really can't come up with this kind of stuff sitting there, just having your little cup of decaf. Something was giving him a rush, or it was.
And so now we're entering the actual hollow doors. And what we have is this hall, and there are 10 doors in here. One door you actually go through, but all the doors have an interactive component that you either look through or press or do something with, and it engages your imagination depending on which door you look through.
I'm feeling a little disoriented here.
Well, that's because the hall of doors is built on a slant, so that as you progress and go into the hall, it's probably about 20 feet, maybe 25 foot deep, and about 14 15 foot wide. As you go from front to the back, you're actually walking down, and the ceiling slants down. So what happens, just like in the movie, Alice couldn't stand up because she grew too big. And so as an adult, when you go, you may not be able to stand up totally, or you may, but it gives you the illusion that you're getting bigger and the room's getting smaller.
Sounds like my place. A little bit. Did you see the movie Being John Malkovich?
No, I did not.
Folks, and Pam, I mean, now that we're standing here with the little door, Blockbuster, whoever has it, Netflix, do you subscribe to Netflix?
No, I do not.
Do you get videos and DVDs and all?
Occasionally. I don't watch a lot of TV. I tend to watch the news and a few other things.
Stay away from those things. I stay away from the news. Anyway, there's a movie, Being John Malkovich. John Malkovich is in it. Yeah, and Cameron Diaz and John Cusack. That is it's such a bizarre, and this reminded me of the little doors and all that. Go see, folks. I have a movie recommendation. Being John Malkovich, and then The Big Lebowski too. We've all seen that, but it reminds me of Being John. But what a great film! What fun that is. Now, anyway, sorry to get us away from that.
That's okay, but surrounding Alice's Wonderland, and the main part of the museum, is our Totally Tubular exhibit, where kids can come in. This is actually a Velcro wall, and all the tubes Velcro on, and they can shape their own tracking ball system, and then there are different balls in there they can roll through.
We are, of all things, we're down to about 4 minutes. It's really moving along. I've got to do this in 2 parts.
I forgot to show you, this is the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland. Right. So when you sit down right there.
Okay, I'll try. A little small here. I've broken 2 chairs in my life, by the way.
I want you to look into the mirror.
I'm there. That's me.
That's the Cheshire Cat.
I'm the Cheshire Cat.
And you turn into the Cheshire Cat when you sit down at this vanity table.
Okay. There are children coming in now.
Yes, we're open now, so we're starting to get people in.
They just having a wonderful, folks. I mean, folks, you have grandchildren coming in, or children, or great grandchildren. Make this the very first stop on your tour when you get to Myrtle Beach. And anybody listening, just ask for a tour. Come in and look at. This is just so. This children, as soon as they walked in here, they were busy and involved. Immediately. I wish we could stay. Well, I'm going to come back and do a second part. We just got this Alice in Wonderland.
We've got a gem mining exhibit where they can pan for gems in a water flume. Right. We've got a Express Yourself art area where they can make and take things. They're building a house. They're building their own house. And the area.
You still have the hospital and the dental chair?
We do, but right now Alice's Wonderland is in that area and it's in storage. We're a small facility, so when we get something that big, we have to take something out.
So there's no dental work going on here?
No. The dental office is in storage right now. Alice's Wonderland will only be here until May 15th.
Oh, I wish it would be here forever. It'd be great. And then you can make pizzas here?
We have a pizza truck, so they can make pizzas and the oven lights up. We have a gear power wall where they can make gears and change the gear system. We have USS Kids Afloat, where we have a water bed embedded into the deck of the boat and the raft on top, and they can get in and put the life jacket on and have the motion of the water without actual water.
And folks, when we came in, the place was quiet. Nothing happening. It was, and now it's open, and it can't be open for more than 5 minutes right now, 5-6 minutes. And children, as soon as they walked in, found things, and you hear the sound right away. So you're hearing children are running around. This is a wonderful place. Yeah. This is a wonderful place, and it really ought to get more exposure. And folks, tell you anybody with children, grandchildren, this is the first stop on the way. Give an address, a phone number, and an address, a phone number, and a website again. And then, my goodness, we have to go.
The Children's Museum of South Carolina. We're located at 2501 North Kings Highway in Myrtle Beach, directly across the street from the Myrtle Beach Convention Center and Sheraton Hotel. Our phone number is 843-946-9469, and our website is www.hcccd.org. www.CMSCkids.org.
Phone number again?
Phone number is 946-9469, or our website is www.CMSCkids.org.
Okay, folks, what is the size of the Mad Hatter's hat? And this is going to be airing, let's see, what's the size, do we think, is the Mad Hatter's hat?
Why would I spoil the fun? That's your trivial.
Okay, so the next time you hear me on air here with Horry County Community Digest, you'll hear the Mad Hatter's hat size. Hope that's hat size. Hope folks have forgotten it. This will be fun. Okay, you've been listening to Horry County Community Digest. I'm your host and fellow Horry County and her Mossman, Pam Ross, Executive Director of Children's Museum of South Carolina. You're fun. Thank you.
Thank you for being. Well, what generally takes place is oftentimes we have field trips that come to the museum. Right now we have a lot of Canadian visitors that are in the area for Can-Am Days.
Hey.
So those families will come to the museum as well. And then we have our regular membership members that are able to come. And a lot of times during the day, if we don't have field trips, it's smaller children because the older children, as you know, are in school this time of day.
Okay, so a lot of the children coming through will be Canadian. Is there any sort of a culture shock for them here? I mean, the things happening in Canadian museums that wouldn't be hearing here, the sun, the surf, the sand, the surf, and all that, or they just is for some of this, is this a new experience, or you think it's commonplace for them?
Canada has children's museums.
Welcome to Horry County Community Digest here on Horry County Community Digest.info. I'm your host in Horry County and Herb Malsman. We're about to spend 30 minutes at Children's Museum of South Carolina in Myrtle Beach. The piece was done a while ago. It was produced a while ago, and when it was produced, Alice's Wonderland was being exhibited at the museum. Always a fun place to be. Alice's Wonderland is no longer there, but there's a great new exhibit there now called Everybody Eats, so another fun exhibit. Check it out. While you're listening to, you might want to check out the link, Children's Museum of South Carolina, here at Horry County Community Digest.info. So let's head on now to Pam Ross and Children's Museum of South Carolina and Alice's Wonderland. Here we go. Follow me. For me, this is my second visit here.
Sand area with interactive play that is situated in a boat, so children can have access to the boat. And everybody loves the sand, and a lot of times they like the sand not in conjunction with the beach because they don't want to deal with the water. And unlike the beach, they don't sit in the sand, so we don't have to worry about diapers and sand and clothing as well.
Oh, so you read my mind. I was going to say, did the kids get to sit there?
No, actually they don't. We have stools around the boat on the other side so that they can have access to all the interactive manipulatives that are in the boat, but they don't actually sit in the sand.
And it's a fairly small boat. It's not a large size. It's probably, the sand area is probably, something like that. Okay, so we're moving along now. Can you find squirrel, frog, bear, and fish? Oh, they're going to be someplace with it. Oh, I see in the mural here.
We have flip boxes in the...
I was in the museum here about a year and a half ago at Christmas time. Had to do a tour of the museum, but now we're doing it for you folks here on WRNN 1450 AM. Our guest and guide today is Pam Ross, and Pam is the executive director of the Children's Museum of South Carolina. It's a little quieter here than the last time. Last time was a little Christmas time, and you had like 100 kids here, or 98 anyway. Hi, Pam. And how come so quiet? I know I was quiet, but a little odd.
Well, you're earlier. Actually, our doors haven't even unlocked yet, so this is why we're really quiet right now.
And what do you expect? Now, our tape date today is Thursday, March 11th, 2010. Of course, what is expected today? Do you have any what's going to be happening today here?
For 350 in the United States and worldwide, and so the one thing that children's museums offer, regardless of how big they are or where they're located, is that they provide an opportunity for families to interact and learn and have fun together.
But they could be learning something about, let's say, shells and snakes and things that aren't indigenous to them. They would learn it, so they may be picking up some new experiences here.
Oftentimes that is true. So regardless of which children's museum you go to, you do get a different experience.
But the basics are the same. Okay, so we're at just give us a tour, and then we're going to talk about Alice's Wonderland, or Alice in Wonderland.
Alice's Wonderland is the traveling exhibit that we have right now.
But that's a very hot subject right now,
Yeah,
so we'll get into that as we go. Okay, you're the guide, so go for it, Pam.
Okay, as we enter the museum, we have a